Hello everyone, welcome to the video series on UFT automation. In this video, we will see the process of retrieving the object properties, through our UFT scripting. It's pretty simple process, but before I dive into that, let me talk a little bit about the application types. When I say application types, I'm kind of referring to the technology that is used to develop the application. So if you take the case of regular Windows-based application, that's one type, and if you take Windows Presentation Foundation, that's a totally different thing. So, for example of a Windows Presentation Foundation application is, the Metro style applications within Windows 8. The gadgets that you see, they're all built on top of WPF Foundation, WPF technology. So a text box in a standard Windows application, versus a text box within a Silverlight technology or Windows Presentation Foundation, they'll be a little bit different. I mean, the way you interact with will be different. But fundamentally, if you have a high-level picture on how to retrieve the data, then you can apply the same knowledge there. I mean, one other example I can give is, for example, the combo box. It says Win combo box, but if you take the case of .NET application, it will not be Win combo box, it will be SWF. And if it is a Windows Presentation Foundation combo box, then it will be WPF combo box. So the objects are identified using a different class. So if you know that, then you're pretty much more than half the way into working with different type of technology. Then after that, depending on the technology, you just deal with that object. And a couple of things that you have to take care of. Number one, make sure that you have appropriate add-in if it is needed, and second is make sure you work with appropriate object. So if you're working with WPF and then if you're trying to use this object, then obviously it will not work because this is a standard Windows combo box. So with that said, let me dive in. I'm going to use this script. This is pretty standard. It's going to start our sample application, log in. It'll go to the booking reservation screen, and it'll enter all the data, but it will not do anything else. That's it. That's the end of the script. And we will add a few things here. So let me go ahead and run the script from here, and let's make sure that it runs. I mean, it opens the application, should open the application, log in, put the data in, and it should stop. So it's pretty much done. For whatever reason, it's not able to enter number of tickets. Oh, there are two applications. I should have closed it. I think that's a problem. So let me close it and run one more time. Okay, so it populated the fields with appropriate data. And then again, it's the static data coming from the script, and then just finished the script. So let me go ahead and close the application. Now, okay, we already discussed this. Now let's talk about getting data from the screen. So you know what, I have to let me go ahead and run the script one more time because I want that reservation screen to discuss the next section. Okay. Okay, if you look at here, we passed data, the cities, and picked a flight and put the name in there and put 5, and then we have the price of the ticket and the total. Say, we want to, kind of read these 3 elements. Another thing is we didn't pass the price and we didn't pass in the total. And the total is equal to 5 times the price. 108.6 times 5 is, 535. So it's doing some calculation, and we can actually verify that within the script. So first let us target retrieving these three values, and we'll print it to the output here. Okay, so let me go here. Okay, here. Now this is pretty simple. Let me start it with, we need to work with that flight reservation screen, right? And then we need to work with that particular object, which is WinEdit. And within WinEdit, we need to work with a number of tickets. Let's start with tickets. And then what we want from here is we need to get some value from there. So we need to get definitely it is again, it's we want to use RO. It's a runtime object. I'll go back and talk about it. So it's RO property, and then what we want is we want the value of this property called text. As you might have noticed the properties when you watched object repository videos. When UFT grabs an object, or grabs the properties of an object, there are standard properties. It reads the values and stores within its object repository. Within its database. That's nothing but object repository. So it uses those properties, and they are in the system, within the script, but at the runtime the value might be different. So to read those values, you can use the properties, the text to the property. So we are saying, get me the property of text of this field. That's what this means. So when this returns a value, so we can assign it to, say, a variable called tickets. And let's print it real quick and see if it actually works. So print tickets. Let's make sure it's the right variable. Okay, let me go ahead and run it. So passed in 5 as the tickets, and we have 5 here. Now let's go back and discuss the difference between test object and runtime object. A test object is the object that is stored in the object repository, and that is the information that is used by the UFT to recognize the test object. Now the same object, when the application is running, meaning not, it's more like not application is running, it's more like when the test case is running, it's working with the application. At the time, that same object is referred to as a runtime object. Now we need to retrieve data while it is running, when the test is running. So that's why it's RO property. If you do TO, which is test object property, then it will retrieve whatever is in the object repository. And we are not looking for that. We need to really get the value of the text while the system is running, while the system is testing. Say for example, now it's 5. If I were to make this, say, 8, and run this test, then it should print 8, because now the value there would be 8. Oh, this will run into error because I had the application open. So let me kill that. Let me go ahead and run it one more time. Okay, see, now we have 8. So that's how you read values off of the screen. So let us apply a little small logic here. So I'm gonna copy a couple of lines. So these lines will read the value from the same screen WinEdit price, and it gets whatever is in the price field. So whatever is in here, we'll get that, and then it's also, the next step is retrieving the value from the total field, which is right below that. So we're going to grab or read the text from these 3 text boxes, and after we read, what we are doing is we are assigning it to a variable. Now if I were to print those values, I want to print these values. Let me do that. Let me copy a couple of lines here. So price, so total. We need price total, then we need actual tickets, number of tickets. Okay, so let me go ahead and run this. Oh, I'm sorry, I already have the application open. It's going to fail for sure. We know that. Let me close the app and run it one more time. So we should see our print lines in the output. It should display the number of tickets, the price, and the total. And all we are doing is we are reading and putting on the output. Now, what is the guarantee that 8 times 108.6 is equal to 868.80? I mean, what's the guarantee? So I mean it might be okay in this case, but what's the guarantee that it is correct all the time when you test? It's going to be very hard for us to visually test it. So what we can do is we can add little logic here using these numbers, and make some we can add little math and then check if it is correct or wrong. Meaning we can multiply 108.6 times 8, and whatever value we get, we can check if that value is equal to this or not. And that's actually pretty simple. Let's do this. Here let's calculate the calculated total, or you're you want to get the calculated total from, primarily we want price times tickets, right? I'm going to start this way, and then I'll slowly go back and fix the issues. And then we have total. Total is already a single value. Let's let's take it for granted that this works. Then so I'm going to do if the calculated total is equal to the actual total. So what we did is we took the unit price and multiplied with the total number of tickets, and then that we kind of saved into a calculated total variable. And if whatever total we get, if that is same as the total that we read off the screen, then we are good. So when that happens, what we will do is we will print a line saying here total calculation is correct, or it should rather be the total displayed on the reservation window is correct. Okay, let's see if this works, and then we'll go back and fix it if it fails. Let me close the application. Okay, run from this step. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so for whatever reason it did not do this. Let me do this. Let me see what's happening. Let's print this line. Print calculated total. Let's print that line and see. At least we'll have some form of understanding, and then based on that we'll make some changes. Okay, looks like I have 2 applications running. Should have closed it. Maybe what I can do is to save time, at the end here I'll just close the application. Okay, and that would save us time. Okay, let's see what happens this time. Okay, so the calculated total is this. Now what are we doing? We are comparing this with this. So that's the little problem. Thing is, this is, it has a dollar sign in there and this does not. So probably it might be treating this as a string. So I can convert this into, force convert into double, and I can remove the dollar sign, and then it both looks the same, and then I can convert this into double and this into double. Probably this is already double, but I can kind of, on the safer side, I can do that. So let's try with the total. Okay, so what is this? So let's mess with the total here. Okay, after this, let's mess with the total here. Okay, we'll say total val equal to, we want to remove the dollar sign, so the function that is used for that specific purpose is mid, and we'll take the value of the total, and then we'll, if you say 2, then it will start with the second character, meaning here, but the total is starting with the dollar sign here. So when you say 2, it will skip dollar sign and it will print this portion. That's exactly what it does. So now after this, you want to make sure that this is a number. So what I can do is I need to convert this thing, and in order to convert, you can use CD DBL, convert to double, and then put everything in the bracket. So now what happens is it removes the dollar sign off of the value, and then it takes that 868.80 and then converts that into double. If that is a string, then what we should technically see this. So instead of comparing with this total, we'll do total val. So the calculator val, we know that it's 868.8. Now let's see what value this would be. So let's do this. Let's print that. Say total val, and we'll total val. We'll take that, put it here. Okay. Let's go ahead and run the script and see what happens. If we still run into an issue, then we'll see, we'll debug and we'll figure it out. Okay, now it looks like it worked, because we saw this line saying the total displayed on the reservation window is correct, meaning, so whatever logic we did here, it worked, because we took the actual total value of the text, which is this, and then what we did is we removed the dollar sign, and then we converted it into double. And this process, when we did couple, calculated total, what we did was price is what? This one, 108.60, and we did times number. So we only multiply numbers, right? We don't multiply an alphabet and a number. To get a result, and we are not talking about algebra expressions here. So we take the value of this and value of this and multiplying, meaning that those should be some sort of number. So because there is a decimal, it is automatically treated as a double. A double is with a number that has a decimal value in it. So it's a 10.2 is a double, or 10.00 is a double value. But if you say 1, 2, 3, with no fraction there, no decimal, it's an integer. So that's how you would do things in real time. You read the data off of the screen and apply some logic. I have done everything in one script. but most likely these will be in a function in real time. You would be reading data off of the screen and just calling function with these values, tickets, price, and total, and all this logic conversion, whatever we just did, might be part of the function. So your actual script is just making a call and verifying if it is correct or wrong. And if it is correct, probably you might be doing some logging. And to make it a little bit interesting, what we can do is, instead of printing, or maybe on top of printing, we can write to the reporter. This probably will come down the line. Reporter dot report event. This is pass. Step name, we are validating total, and we want details, and we will pass this guy here. And then image, which is optional, we don't need it. By the way, we have a separate video that talks about this reporter class. What this does is, let me show it to you real quick. What this does is it will insert information into the runtime result. Let it run and I'll show it to you. Okay, it's done. Let's open the run results. Okay, finally it opened. Okay, so the reporter line within the script, what it does is it inserts an entry into the run results. So validating total, that is coming from here, this part of the argument. And make pass, it's saying that it's the step had passed. That's the reason why it put a green tick mark in there. And and the same thing, object total, validating total, and the detail, this is coming from our description. So we are what we did was we inserted our custom information into the results window. So that's what it does. So if I were to remove that, then most likely in real time you would see things like this. You will be seeing quite a bit of steps that will be writing to the results, run results. And let's see what else. Okay, so that would cover get RO property, and then using it with a small logic. And next, let me quickly touch, there are a lot of properties, and to be quite frank, it'll be just impossible to cover every property, because every application type has tens of properties and then methods, and it'll be very difficult. But this would be, this is a good start. And from this, pretty much this property applies for most of the objects. So let me, not this, but I mean to say this RO property. So let me quickly touch this get TO properties. TO is test objects, test object properties, and it does not return a value, but it returns an object. So it gives you the whole description of an object. And let me quickly paste a few lines here to demonstrate what it means. So here what I'm doing is I am taking this object, tickets, number of tickets object, and I'm kind of assigning it to a variable, win edit object. And then I don't have to do this. I can directly take this whole thing in here, this one here, and use that way. But just to demonstrate this purpose of assigning an object to a variable using set operator, to say set keyword, I just wanted to show that. And then here, when I'm saying props is equal to that object dot get RO properties, what it does is it gets all the test object properties and passes that object to these properties, and that object is a name value pair. When name value pair is kind of like a dictionary. You have a word and you have a meaning. You have a word and you have a meaning. Same way you have a name and a value. It's called name value pair. So, and here I'm using if loop here and looping through the properties, because that's a property of the object. So for the first properties, when you say and dot name, and if you put number one here, then it's the very first property. That's what you get the value here. So it starts with 0. That's a pretty common index value to start with. So prop 0 dot value, prop 0 dot dot name and dot value. Then it will iterate, and if you look at it, here we are in order for us to use a for loop, you need a start value and end value. And in this case, we need to, before you start processing, you need to know the total number of properties within the object, and props.count will return the total number of properties within that object properties. So once we get the count, because the index starts with 0, let's say there are 5 objects, 1 2 3 4 5, the index values are 1 2 3 4 0 1 2 3 4. So it would start with 0 and end with 4. It's always less by 1. It's 5, so it would be 4. So for that case, we need to do prop count -1, because it's starting with 0 and the 4th position, and you get all 5 values. So it loops through the properties and starts displaying values, starting with the very first pair. So let me, and I think I'm printing these values. Yeah, I'm printing it here. So let us go ahead and run the script and see the output from that TO properties object. Run from this step. Okay, and as I said, this TO properties is nothing but test object properties, and it gave us edit and native class is edit and attached text is tickets. So what does that mean? Let us go into object repository, and let us go into that object that we just pulled the properties for. It's tickets, and look here. Under description properties, you have a couple of properties. So when you do this get TO properties, it gets all the properties that are within this description properties. So that's what it does. So it really comes from the object that is within your object repository, not the real-time information. It is primarily getting you the description of the object from your test, from your object repository. So that should pretty much cover the topics that I wanted to cover in this video. So just a quick recap. What we did was we discussed the different type of applications, meaning different type of objects, meaning different classes. Meaning, if you have a text box in Oracle application and then a text box in SAP application, even though they are text boxes, their class is different within UFT. Then we use the most common property called get RO property, get a runtime object property, to retrieve values at the runtime, and then we applied some logic, played with it, and applied some if loop and to validate the numbers, and we actually wrote it to the reporter. This you can watch it in a separate video. It goes in full detail on how you can use this within your test cases. Then we looked at get TO properties to retrieve the description properties of the object that are in the object repository based on the object that we are dealing with. In this case, what we looked at is the tickets win edit object, and we retrieved the properties that were within the object repository. Well, that concludes the session on dealing with objects. And that's basic introduction, by the way. And depending on the application, you will have to drill down into the help, because it's a huge area. So anyway, good luck. This is actually a fun topic to deal with. Once you start getting your hands dirty with VB scripting, and when you start playing with this, it gets real interesting. So okay, then that covers this thing, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching this video.